Our goal for today is for you to get a deeper understanding of the Holocaust, and our hope is that you will take these stories and you'll take the knowledge that you gained today and bring them back to your families, bring them to your friends, bring them back to your classroom.
Oftentimes the students that come through the museum, they've never really heard about the Holocaust before. One student was questioning, how could someone do this to another person? And one of the kids, who was pretty silent the entire time, said, look at the way we treat each other at school. Look at how we treat each other and what we say to each other and the nasty things that we do.
There were a lot of students who either were bullies or who got bullied. By being able to talk about bullying with those kids, then they saw this as something that maybe applied to them.
It was all around like what you want them to take away with how you're going to treat people, how you'd see people.
Coming here today really made me take in what actually happened. It made me realize these were actual people.
Because sometimes you don't hear what they're going to say, but because they had the opportunity to write it down, it was very profound, and it was like they got it.
What I wrote down is every person and every difference is welcome as one, and no matter who you are, you should always be who you are, and everyone should accept you for that.
We've worked together with Voices of Hope and with the Hero Center, the Holocaust Education Resource and Outreach Center, to be able to provide free field trips for students from around the state.
The impact that this has on both the student, the teacher, and the student relation can be really big, and it can really make a difference in the classroom atmosphere, the way that students treat each other.
When you learn in the classroom, you kind of just read the books and watch videos and I don't know, you really don't get the feeling, but when you come to the museum, you actually see the artifacts, you read the stories, you meet the actual people that went through the Holocaust, and so it gives you a better understanding of the Holocaust and how it felt.
There was each panel with a bunch of information about each survivor. They had one of the uniforms there and one of the stars, because I've seen pictures of it, but I haven't seen it with my own eyes.
What was impacting me the most was just learning about the survivors' stories, especially the one about the doll and how they kept all of the special possessions inside the doll's head.
I had a student where I could actually see the mind shift. His whole body language changed, and and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I get it.
All the artifacts were real, and that this actually happened. It's hard to believe that this happened, and then that it actually happened kind of baffles me.
I just think it's hard to process. Just because someone may be different from you doesn't mean you should treat them like they're not human.
When you have a survivor tell a personal story, I was here, this is what happened to me, I watched this happen, I was excluded from this, I never saw my grandmother again. Those kind of messages, then it hits home.
You're looking at the amazing, most incredible things that the average person is capable of doing. And I think that's one of the messages that I saw my kids carry on in their responses. And I thought that was just really, really monumental.
The survivors that are speaking to the students were all mostly the students' ages, if not younger, when these things happen. And I can't imagine that the students don't relate to that more, or if they have younger siblings.
Students, both before they participate in the field trip and after they participate in the field trip, think about what it is, what are the factors that make them feel safe, and what are the factors that make them feel vulnerable. We're trying to teach students to think about what it's like to walk in the shoes of another, is that it gets students to think a little bit differently about how persecution and discrimination works.
My sister and I was 7 and my sister was 5. My father had about 3 or 4 pictures in his pocket. One of them was my kindergarten class. There's 27 kids and 2 teachers. I'm the only one that survived. Here I am, right over here. My grandparents, my aunts and uncles, everybody else was killed. We hid in the woods. We hid there for 2.5 years. Very cold winters, 50 below zero. You think it's cold here? You should have been in the woods.
when the students hear that, they must think about their own families. Like I think about my kids and think about, you know, my daughter running off with my son, and somehow her, at 10 years old, being able to look after him and protect him.
These kids were like our age, and that they were able to overcome this, and that it was like, it's very big of them, and they are like incredible, and I don't think anyone could match them.
There are things happening in our world today, right? Atrocities and crimes and persecution and people being killed for who they are. So what is our responsibility to make sure that these kinds of things don't happen? How does this happen, right? How do we respond to hatred, discrimination, persecution? What are we supposed to do?
The only way to stop it is to talk more about it. I think it's great that the students are talking about it here, and then they're bringing it home.
You've got to learn that this could happen again, and we need to guard against it. And it's just the best way to do it is to promote it, talk about it, and remember.